Hey all, Pixel here, Improbable Garage. We're back in the Cyberpunk Cube because I got some new toys. So this is what's called in the maker community a cheap yellow display. If you do some Googling on that, you'll find a lot more information I can give you. But basically this is a development board. It's designed for developing software and equipment and whatnot. It works perfectly for something I needed because I've wanted some little displays. I think I mentioned this in another video. But this has got everything I need because it's got the display, which also happens to be a touch screen, the driver for it, the processors, a card reader, a USB slot, everything you need basically to have a little self-contained computer with display. Very simple. It's an ESP32 chip. I don't know a lot about this stuff, so do not take this as a video to learn about this in a useful way. You're going to need to go look further afield than that because I'm not the guy to teach you. I just found out about these. But this is perfect for what I need. There's a 2.4-inch diagonal full color LCD display, and with a little bit of code you can put all kinds of stuff on this, and it requires very little learning. Not no learning, because as I discovered, there's a bunch of variations on this out there, and they've got different pinouts, meaning different things are connected in different places on the board, stuff like that. So it's not a perfect, like, no effort solution, but it is simpler than all the other options that I found out there. So I'm going to put a link in the I'm going to put some links in the description so you can do this on your own. The specific boards I bought off of AliExpress, I will link down below, and then the specific video instructions on YouTube on the code that I put on these, as well as I will note the differences that I had to make to that code to work with this specific board. I'll also note down there the guy who wrote that code and who made the YouTube video was super helpful. He helped me get this working, so absolute credit to him. Go look at his video, give him the views, because he was really great about this. But what I was able to do is put a very simple program that just plays videos on this. It was a little bit of effort because I wanted one that booted up, played the videos, did that. I didn't have to do anything to get it to start playing. I didn't have to touch, whatever. And then once I had that, I built some pixel art little animated displays using a program called Piskel. Again, I'll put a link down below. This plays MPEG, with his software on it, this plays MPEG videos. So I had to create it in that program, output it as a GIF, put it into another website, which I'll try to remember to put below, that looped that GIF multiple times to just make it longer. And then I converted that to MPEG. What's on here is sort of my quick version of the animation. I got to do some cleanup and stuff. And I need to find a cleaner way through that whole conversion process, because you'll see it's got a lot of artifacting on it. But it got me my proof of concept, which is this. Now while I did this all from scratch, I can't take any credit for the little kitty cat, because I spatially searched 8-bit lying cat and copied a bunch of it and made some little modifications so that the tail is twitching and he's licking his lips, and then I built the rest of it. The descriptors up here were based on the common gauges for a turboprop engine, but it's mostly I just wanted something there going on. The final version of this will have less artifacting. I don't know how clear it is in this, but there's a lot of artifacting from the multiple conversions, and these are going to move around a little less because I've realized that, one, they're out of sync when it resets, but also they're moving way more than I feel like they should to look right. But that's that. And then I built another one. This is the second one I built. Basically a little status screen for the car. Outline of the car. I used a line drawing I found to make that. And then it's got like steering status, computer status, solar panel status, battery status, engine status, tires, a bunch of unlabeled ones over here. And then up at the top, OBD7 status, which is, little joke since we're on OBD2 now, and then a little turtle with a cityscape on its back goes by, and it says "cracked by Tokyo Turtle," which is just, I literally did some like give me random nouns website and came up with that as like the hacker name for the hacker who cracked this software, so you can modify it for your vehicle. No, my standard thing of like coming up with weird shit that references nothing. Just I actually went looking at a bunch of cyberpunk-ish stuff looking for a hacker name, but unfortunately there weren't a lot of like secondary character ones I could find. Most of the ones are important enough to the story that you'd recognize. You know, if I put Count Zero on there and you're any kind of William Gibson fan, you know who I was referencing, but it doesn't make sense with his characters. So yes, I'm that kind of dork. But anyway, these are going to get mounted in the car. The long-term plan is I need to design and have 3D printed some housings for these, but for right now, I just am going to make some temporary mounts if I can. It's going to be a little bit challenging because I got to figure out a way to mount these that doesn't short the board out, you know, since I mostly work in metal. So let's get started. All right, so right after I filmed that, I was like, okay, now I got to figure out some mounts for these. I don't know what to do. And then I went and looked at my scrap bin, and I had this cut off and this cut off from building the front and rear grills. And these are going to be perfect because they're already got a bunch of holes punched in them. And I should be able to, see how this has got 4 mount holes at the 4 corners? I should be able to, hopefully, of course it doesn't quite line up, but it is darn close. I should be able to make some simple brackets out of these, assuming I have some hardware small enough that I can fake that. I'll just clean this up, and then I should be able to screw it on there, bend this, and then be able to just secure that down. I'll do that on both sides. I'll put some tape probably on the back of this so that it's not metal on metal, just in case any of these things are live. I think that'll actually line up so it'll show the LED even. I've got one that's got to be mounted vertical, and I've got one that's got to be mounted horizontally. This is the horizontal one. This is a vertical. I remember doing it based on the memory cards. This one has to be mounted that way. So this one, I might have to like make a 2-piece one, like, you know, secure that on there and then another one down below, but I also have to leave room for the cabling to come out the back of it. So yeah, let me get started. I'm gonna have to work a little ways away from this area so I don't shower this in metal sparks and kill one of these. All right, made 2 little brackets, nice and simple, nothing fancy whatsoever. But these should, is the right one? Yeah, that's the right one. Fit like that. Worst case, I can put just one in the top, and it should hold it okay if it's secured down to the dash. That is assuming I have any small enough hardware, because these are number 6s, which do not work. I need number 4s, probably. I don't have time, so I'm definitely thinking 6, what this is. Just better not. You're from something. Nope, doesn't work here. 7, 6. Yeah, 6 seems small if they work like this stuff, and some of the same page. 6, 6, 6. I don't think I have any 4s at all. Useful sets. No, here we go. I have 2 4 bolts and 1 4 nut. That might be another 4 there. So I might be able to mount one of these. Yeah, that'll work even if it is a bit excessively long, and it looks like I might have a few more of those in the bottom of that bin. All right. I really want to leave all this exposed, but I don't trust that any of it isn't gonna arc across and cause me to short the board out the minute I apply power to it. So, ugh. Get a pair of scissors. I need a pair of scissors. What I have is a razor blade. to do for now. I don't like this. I think it's kind of ugly, but hey, actually, I think I can get away with just wrapping this lower bit over here, because I want to leave that LED exposed, and it's up enough to prevent the metal from being able to touch the traces on the side of it. Should I go inside and get a proper knife or scissors? Yes. Am I going to? No. Why? God only knows. Alright, let's try assembling this. I need the top to be up here because I need the LCD to be, or the cable be coming onto that side for reasons that will become hopefully apparent. And like I said before, this is all temporary. Plan is to get 3D printed housings made up that will fully encase these boards. You know, I may end up doing the housings in something transparent or translucent to show the boards off, but that's a future me decision. That'll be snug enough. Probably shouldn't be doing this, but what the heck? Aha! These are the good ones. There, that's a little more tolerable. And one screw in the bottom of each of those, and that'll attach itself nicely to the dash. This other one is going to take a little bit more work because, like with that one, I need to have room for the cable to come out the bottom. So I might have to, I wonder if I could do, well, it doesn't matter if I don't have enough more hardware. One. Sixes. I have one bolt and no. Oh no, okay. I have a bolt singular. Hell, that's not good. Alright, well, how do I do this with one piece of hardware or no pieces of hardware? I mean, what I was pondering was just kind of doing that, but again, the holes don't quite, oh, the holes actually line up surprisingly well that way, but I would need a second one for the bottom. And I've been through all of my likely source. Just to be clear, all four of these are smaller than a 6, right? Yeah. I don't really want to risk trying to drill that out because if I break off the corners of the board, I might break some of the traces because this has got traces on the top and the bottom. and I'm not quite sure where they connect through. So, zip ties. I've got a wonderful idea. I've got a wonderful, terrible idea. Okay. Okay. How am I doing with the silver one? Let me try that again without a Sharpie in my hand and with the good colored Sharpie to draw on. I need this hole and this hole. And wow, this one's... Okay. Try this again. So what I'm going to do... No, that won't work. Well, no, because I'm doing zip ties so I can offset it a bit. My plan is I need the circle around the top and the circle around the bottom, but basically from here all the way down through all of this to here, I can very carefully cut out, grind away, and then that'll fit around the end of it, and I should have just enough to make another one for the other side. And then because I'm using a zip tie and it doesn't have to be exact, I should be able to make that snug itself on either side, and then that'll hold that up. And I may not be in a hurry to make 3D printed housings if these come out looking as good as they might. So I'm not going to film it because it's just going to be really fiddly, but I'll be right back. I made these brackets. The problem is this inner corner right here is not enough of a right angle. And I can't find, it's under this. I'm going to be so annoyed if it's under this. Nope, but there's my scissors. Looking for it, I have a triangular file, but this one might be enough to do it. And let me move the board so I'm not filing on top of them. Turns out after you cut all this away and try and line it up, the holes are further off than they looked initially. But that does fit close enough around there that I'm pretty sure I can get a zip tie on it. Ditto on this side. I would like it to tuck in substantially more, but I don't think that's a possibility without compromising every bit of strength here. I'm leaving these straight because I think this is going to end up being screwed more to the front face of the dash right now than the top, just to make sure that I have clearance for that wire. The good thing about these boards, and part of the reason I'm using them, is that they are cheap. Under 20 bucks a pop, a little bit of looking, you can get them for under 10 bucks a pop. The manufacturer of this board appears to sell it through their website. Not AliExpress where I bought it, but the actual manufacturer appears to sell it for like under $5 a pop. But I suspect that probably comes with some quantity limits, like as in order X number before we'll sell them to you. But that's a guess. If you do decide to follow the links below, I'm not making any money off it because it's AliExpress. But if you follow the link in the description to AliExpress, you can then find within that descriptor, within the description of that, on that link, a link to the company's website that, like I said, lists it cheaper. I think that it's not perfect. It's a little bit at an angle. But I want to get this working tonight so I can see the basic concept. It will work fantastic. I'm slightly tragified that the grinding so that this would be smooth and not a jagged edge that tears the board up also took a lot of that rust off of this particular piece of metal. There's still some, but not as much as I'd like, because I did like the way the rust looked. Come on, come on. Yep, I just installed this upside down. All right. Of course, now it occurs to me I could put a zip tie in the bottom of these probably. Alrighty, let's make sure these still work. Make sure I put the right ones in the right places. Yep, that still boots up and everything. And that one still boots up, and I got that one the right way around too. Now we're going to go secure these to the dash of the car and figure out how I'm powering them. Alright, so you know the problem where I didn't have any screws small enough? Same problem with sheet metal screws. The only ones I were able to find is I found 7 in this little unlabeled container that were just a little too big, so I carefully drilled a couple of the holes one size bigger, which is all I felt comfortable with, and then the screw needed a little bit of convincing to go through initially, but once it then bottomed out, they'll spin freely, which means I should be able to put them in the dash. It's going to be interesting to do them because I don't know if the gun will be able to do it or if I have to do it by hand, but we will find out. So let's go drill some holes in my dashboard. Alright, hopefully you can see halfway well. I've got a extra light stuck up over there, but I'm going to be blocking it to some degree. So I need to figure out where these are going to live. And that looks like it. Actually, no, I don't like how much that's standing up by itself. I think if it was in, I think this one's going to go over here. So I can feel a little bit protected by this box here. And then this one's going to go over here, possibly more that way. This I would like to move to, but I don't have a good place to move it to. So let's see what happens if I run a... I have 2 more of these boards. Again, they're cheap, so I can... Okay, that's actually working fine because it's grabbing without yanking it off. I think I was thinking of what it would be like to try and mount these into metal, which would be like nothing, 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 nothing. Screw gets rammed home. So bend that bracket very carefully. Yeah, that might work just right. Okay, let's try putting this one in. here is literally, oh shit, there's not enough clearance there. Let's try that again where I can actually see if it works or not. Oh, the microphone just fell down. Never mind. Doesn't work worth a shit anyway. So let's try this again plugged in so we can see what. Oh yeah, that plug takes up a ton of space. I think that I'm going to have to also mount up, or I'm gonna have to like, the problem right now is this is secured to the board, and the board is the weakest part of the equation. So what do I do? Do I screws in the bottom? The problem is, what makes this clear is to bend it back more. What makes it look better is to bend it up more. What I want to do is put like a Z shape in this, or bend it 90 degrees and screw it to the top, like sticking out. Like this one isn't, but this one, I could have it stick forward more. This is a terrible idea. But if I break the board, I'm out. Less than 10 bucks. And a couple of zip ties to zip tie a new board to this, because I already went and loaded the code on all 4 boards I had just to make sure that they'd all work. Alright, that should work. I think what I would actually like to do is, maybe I can do that. Maybe I can like screw it down like this and then bend it up more just so that it's not as high, because it's stuck more to the thing. So I actually put the screws in the same holes but from the other side, and I'm putting into the same holes in the dash. And then comes the very careful bending. God, I don't like that at all. It's a mass-produced item. You can replace it. It's not like some of the other weird shit you located that you can't. Okay. Can I get something plugged into that that's not under massive amounts of tension? Yes. Okay. All right, that actually works just fine. That's got space. Damn, that's cool. All right. Next problem. Powering these. These are USB-C powered. The eventual plan is to have, once I know how many I'm going to have, is to have a USB hub of some sort hidden up in the dash, hardwired into one of these switches, so that when I flip the switch, these power on. You know, and that same circuit will probably end up with a bunch of other dashboard decorations and stuff on it. But for right now, I have to work with what I got, which is the USB ports in the car already. And I have one I added up under the dash, you know, for my phone, that these cords should just reach. There we go. Haha! And a little bit of cord management to tuck these away a little bit. This one out of the way. Yeah, that'll do for now. I'm going to zip tie these and sort of tuck them away to make them a little bit neater. I'm doing this because I'm going to something tomorrow where I want to show this off. But that'll do for now. I'll steal the cigarette lighter USB adapter from the van to run my phone. That'll incentivize me to actually put proper USB ports in the front of the van. I put them in the back where nobody uses them, but I don't have them in the front. But anyway, yeah, check those out. That is so cool. And then this is exactly what I wanted. I wanted a simple little screen that comes on and just plays an animation. Each of these, the animation is only very short. Like this one's, I think, 100 and something frames. This one's like, I don't know, 24 frames. But each of them is looped within the video multiple, like 9 times. And then that's outputted. So it's playing the same animation 9 times over before it restarts the video. And that little flicker you occasionally see is that restart. But yeah, damn, that looks cool. Yeah, I'm really happy with that. All right, quick little one there. We're definitely coming back to this. There's definitely going to be a bunch more. I'm going to be designing 3D printed housings for these. I'm going to be wiring them up in a much more interesting way. I'm going to look for some USB-C to regular USB adapter cables that are like a braided outside or something like that, so that I can have the cables that run these be part of the interesting cabling in the vehicle instead of just trying to hide it. When I design these, I want to design whatever housings are going to take these, need to be designed that at the very least with a pair of, like, say, pliers or something, there'll be a place where I can like reach in and pull out the memory card, so that I can change the animations on them without having to rip the entire dash apart. But that's a future me problem. Right now, that's sort of doable on one of these and totally not doable on the other, but whatever. Yeah, so that's it for now. Thank you all very much for watching. I'll talk to you later. Bye.